Hello, I'm Liz Watson, and this is Voices of the Great War. So today we're going to be reading another letter from the Hare family. If we recall, Joe is a lieutenant and he is stationed in France during World War I, and his fiancée Molly writes him letters pretty frequently. Today we are going to be reading a letter from Molly that is dated October 14th, and we can see that letter here along with the envelope. And Molly's letter to Joe reads, Joe, my dearest, this is a typical autumn evening, cold and clear, and I am sitting next to a warm, cheerful fire, and only you know how I am wishing that you could be right here with me. I would so much like to have you read to me, and I would knit. Every so often I would ask you to lay the book aside, and I'd put down the knitting, and we'd love each other. How nice it would be. You would be glad to stop reading, wouldn't you, dear, and just be foolish over me for a while. Oh, Joe, my lover, I can't realize the depth of the love, the enormity of it. I can't. You know what it is. I feel sure, for you are feeling that same pang which is in my heart. You are thinking the same love thoughts. You are hoping for the same future. I haven't had a word from you as yet, except the one letter written over a month ago. I can't understand it, but oh, how I wait and long for some word. The first thing I ask when I step in the house is for mail from you. It will come, I know it, and I'll wait. My, how I hope you are getting mine, dearest, with all my heart I hope. I want you to have every little thing that helps you with life. Had I told you that Nina was sick? She had the influenza with a fever of 104. She wrote us tonight that she is a lot better. I am so relieved of it. Mother felt that she should go down, yet she's right in the middle of a Red Cross course that she is taking in the city, and working so hard for the emergency hospital here. She's upstairs right now sewing nightgowns for the patients. It's such a terrible thing. There have been such sad cases here. Things look better today, though. There are only 200 new cases in Philadelphia today, and at one time there were over 5,000. It's really not the influenza that is serious, but the chance of getting through it without contracting pneumonia is very low. We're all exceedingly well right here now. Mother has had a terrific cold, but she's lots better. We simply haven't the time to be sick. I had 5 days in the office here. Mr. Lynch is certainly nice to us and acts as though he is an old man. He allowed me to take tomorrow off, as Father's sister Aunt Catherine died Saturday and is to be buried at Lancaster. We are going up in the car. Sweetheart, tell me, do you love me? I am sitting here singing Dear Old Pal of Mine, a good new piece, and I'm looking at your picture, and your eyes are telling me that you love and cherish me very truly as I do you. My kiss to you tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow, dear. The best of luck, wherever you are. Oh, how I wish for mail telling me that you are unharmed. God bless you and keep you so that you may come back to me for our larger plans. Good night, darling. My kiss to you and a billion more. Your very own, Molly. So we can see from Molly's letter that she has not received much word from Joe, and only one letter to be exact. And again, there's a lot of heavy fighting during this time in the war. And again, like we had seen with Odo in those previous episodes, you know, where his family was waiting for word from him, and they were just, you know, they were going out of their minds with fear that something had happened to him, so much so that they reached out, you know, to Washington to try to find out, you know, what has happened to their, you know, their boy. And, you know, we have that same issue going on here as well, where Molly just is not receiving mail. And, you know, again, I think I mentioned this before, you know, we're such a connected world now. It's hard for us to fathom a time when you would have to wait for weeks, maybe months, to hear word from a loved one during a wartime. I mean, it's unfathomable. And, you know, that fear that every day you go in and you're like, is there a letter here? And then you're told no. And, you know, you have that anticipation when you walk through the door, and then it's taken away. And all you can do, you know, is keep busy. And it sounds like Molly, she does have a job, so that's good. So she is doing something to keep busy. But even doing your best to keep busy, your mind is still on, you know, on your loved one. Are they okay? What's going on? And again, we also hear about the influenza in this letter. Just like COVID today, it was catastrophic. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people died. And again, that was just something else that, on top of everything else with the war that they're having to deal with on the home front. So this was a very difficult time for all Americans at that particular, not just Americans, but people all over the world. It was a very difficult time for people. But, so we are going to move on to our next item. So we do have some more documents from the 82nd that we're going to read. And so the first one, I'll show you here. And this was dated September 15th, 1918. And so this is Operation Information Bulletin number 5, and this is Headquarters 82nd Division, American EF, France. And again, dated September 15th, 1918. And it reads, "The situation on the front of the 82nd remains unchanged. During the night, the enemy artillery harassed our forward areas and our artillery executed counter-battery work. Our patrols were in active contact with the enemy. Enemy planes were very active during the night, dropping bombs in several places. Bombs dropped on Heminville caused several casualties. The 326th Infantry is pushing forward strong patrols, keeping in liaison with the 90th Division during their progress. The 90th Division report their advance elements are west of Vendere and that they are encountering very little resistance. They report taking about 60 more prisoners. It is reported that enemy troops are moving out of Pagny in large numbers going north to Erinville. American Official Communique number 123, 2100 o'clock. In the St. Mihiel sector, our advance elements have maintained touch with the enemy's forces and have repulsed a counterattack by them in the region of Julnay. During the 2 previous days, the dash and vigor of our troops and of the valiant French divisions which fought shoulder to shoulder is shown by the fact that the forces attacking on both sides of the salient effected a junction and secured the objective desired within 27 hours, besides liberating more than 15 square miles of territory and taking 15,000 prisoners. We have captured a mass of material. Over 100 guns of all calibers and hundreds of machine guns and trench mortars have been taken, in spite of the fact that the enemy, during his retreat, burned large stores. A partial survey of the battlefield shows that great quantities of ammunition, telegraph material, railroad material, rolling stock, clothing, and equipment have been destroyed. Further evidence of the haste with which the enemy retreated is found in the uninjured which left behind. French pursuing, reconnaissance results, and British and Italian bravery in the air contribute materially to the success of the operation." French Official Communique, September 15th, a.m. South of Saint Quentin, the French advanced their lines from Lisieux to Fontaine-les-Clairs between the Ouse and Aisne. Then we have words missing on account of defective transmission. In spite of the lively resistance by the Germans, the French took the village of Alamont and the mill at Le Faux. They also advanced east of Senoy and northeast of Salé-sur-Aisne. The number of prisoners counted by the French up to the present time amounts to 2,500. South of the Aisne and the sector of Merville, the French advanced and took the village of Glenay. More than 200 prisoners fell into their hands by command of Major General Burnham. And again, we have that report. And then we're also going to go ahead and read the next report here. And this one is also dated September 15th. And this report reads, secret, Headquarters 82nd Division American EF, September 15th. Operations Report number 74. Report of operations noon September 14th to noon September 15th. Weather is fair. Visibility is good. General impression of the day, active. American Infantry Activity. 325th Infantry Special Patrols, NTR. 326th Infantry patrols maintain contact with enemy in Bois de Chenot, heavily fired upon enemy artillery and machine gun. 327th Infantry Special Patrol searching for missing officer, NTR. 328th Infantry 2 patrols, 1 officer, 30 men, each advanced north on the right and left flanks. Right flank patrol reached 375.9-240.4, compelled to return on account of mustard gas. Left flank patrol advanced to La Toule Farm, then east 300 yards, when enemy opened fire. Patrol returned, no casualties. Infantry activity, Germans. Machine gun and rifle fire from Emplay, Freyhot Woods, Vanderet, Bois du Rapé. Trench mortar fire from the direction of Nervoy, silenced by our artillery. Artillery activity, American. CPO and harassing fire, number of rounds, 1,450 155s, 5,104 75s. 325th Infantry report 3 rounds of 77s on Bois de Bronze at 20:30 o'clock. 326th Infantry report 60 shell, various caliber on Bois de Jure and Bois de Forêt. Few gas shells on front line. 327th Infantry report 256 77s, 175 105s, and 60 150s on forward area. 90 gas shell on Zon Hill Road near Zon and Zon shelled continuously from 2200 to 2400 o'clock and again at 4 o'clock. 328th Infantry report 120 77s and 9 210s on their area. Nervoy and road from Nervoy to Pont de Masson, heavily gassed. Nervoy shelled throughout day. Aerial activity. American plane brought down enemy plane and enemy balloons, Hattonville and Marielle at 16:40 o'clock. Enemy plane in an unsuccessful attack on our balloon at St. Genevieve brought down by artillery fire. 325th Infantry report 5 enemy planes over their sector. 326th Infantry enemy planes very active over this sector during night. Several bombs dropped on Hemenville. 327th Infantry 6 enemy planes over their lines. 328th Infantry report enemy planes active throughout day patrolling their lines. Casualties. 307th Engineers 2 enlisted men slightly gassed, 4 enlisted men slightly wounded by shell fire, 1 enlisted man seriously wounded, shell fire. 326th Infantry. Captain Arthur E. Ham killed by bomb. 1 enlisted man killed by bomb, 3 enlisted men severely wounded by bomb, 3 enlisted men slightly wounded by bomb. 327th Infantry, 1 enlisted man killed, shell fire, 1 enlisted man slightly wounded, shell fire, 1 enlisted man slightly wounded, accidental. 328th Infantry, 8 enlisted men gassed, 3 enlisted men wounded by shell fire, 1 enlisted man killed, shell fire, and 1 enlisted man killed, trench mortar. And then we have our movements. 327th Infantry, 1st Battalion to front line, 2nd Battalion to Forêt des Focs, 3rd Battalion to Bezamont and Louet. 328th Infantry, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, Madere Machine Gun Company to Warengard, 375.4-236.7. 1st Battalion to Madere, 2nd Battalion to Daliard, 3rd Battalion to Norroy, 320th Machine Gun Battalion, Company A to Villers-les-Promets, Company C to Villers-aux-Baux, 321st Machine Gun Battalion, Company A south of Norroy, Company B to Nier-Louet, Company C northeast of Norroy, 307th Engineers, PC of 2nd Battalion to Courtrai, 307th Engineers, 450 men working on bridge and road work. J.M. Wainwright, Assistant Chief of Staff. So that is our second report. And then we have one more that we're going to read. And this is dated September 16th. And this is Operations Information Bulletin number 6. Headquarters, 82nd Division, American EF, France. And this is again September 16th, written at 12 o'clock. The front of the 82nd Division remains unchanged except that during the afternoon of the 15th, the 328th Infantry advanced their line to 374.4-241.1. During the night, the enemy artillery was active, Dillard and the area of the 327th Infantry being shelled. Considerable enemy aerial activity during the night. Extract of report of Lieutenant commanding the French Artillery Police relative to civilians at Norroy. The population of Norroy during the German occupation consisted of 330 individuals according to the list of rations which were distributed by the priest. On the 11th, 12th, and the 13th of September, the Germans evacuated the inhabitants to Vanderet, telling them that Norroy had been mined and that they had the intentions of destroying same following their withdrawal. Only 17 individuals who had hidden themselves in cellars were found at the time of its occupation by the American troops. Statements made by the inhabitants. The German battalion commander made himself particularly conspicuous by his brutal ways. He plundered houses and confiscated everything according to his desires. During the day of the 12th, the priest, having refused to leave with the Germans, was carried away by force. Several persons saw the priest bareheaded being taken away by 4 soldiers. The mayor was taken away under similar conditions on the 13th. The inhabitants received for the month of September 13 pounds of flour, 1 kilogram, about 2 pounds of fat, 1 kilogram of preserved meat, and 400 grams of dried vegetables. The distribution of the foregoing had not been completed. The priests had received same from the American Aid Committee. Inhabitants with means paid for their rations. The sum of 3,000 francs which had been collected was carried off by the Germans in spite of the protest of the priest. It appears that a stock of food exists at the presbytery. A supply of grenades is said to have been placed by the Germans in cellars of houses bearing the numbers of 40 and 42. According to statements made by several individuals, the enemy is suffering from a lack of food. For some time past, no meat rations had been distributed. The inhabitants of Norroy were aware of the presence of American troops in the sector opposite, having been so informed by the Germans. The Germans, it appears, were in great fear of them. The 90th Division report of activities till noon, September 15th. During the night, reconnaissances toward the Hindenburg line was made, an outpost established along the following line: Vanderet, Cot 327-36.8, Hou Chemin, La Soulevere Farm. On the left, there was patrolling at least 1,000 meters beyond this line. Advance was made without difficulty except in the center, where the 359th Infantry encountered resistance in the Bois de Valère. Slight resistance by enemy infantry. There was considerable shelling by the enemy during the night. The 125th Division report slight artillery activity in both sides. American official communique, September 16th a.m. In the St. Mihiel sector, there was increased artillery and aviation activity. A counterattack launched by the enemy at daybreak near St. Hilaire was easily repulsed and a number of prisoners taken. On the left bank of the Moselle, our lines have been advanced about 2 miles and now include the towns of Ilsay and Roy. The normal extension of our lines beyond Jolnay resulted in the bringing in of 72 additional guns abandoned by the enemy in his hasty retreat. This brings the total number of guns captured to more than 200. French official communique, September 16th, 1 o'clock. South of the Alsace, the Germans again reacted by counterattacks, but the French held their ground everywhere. During the day, the French gained the plateau situated east of Vaugelon. Further to the south, they went beyond the Mengine farm and carried the hill northeast of Salé-sur-Ain. The number of prisoners made since yesterday morning and counted up to the present time exceeds 3,500 by command of Major General Burnham. And again, we can see this document here, along with the stamp on the back. So that is the last document that we're going to read today. And so the only thing that I really have to show on Show and Tell today, I just have one thing. And these are actually signal flags. And so they were used to, could signal planes from the air and give them messages. Let them know different things, about the enemy or where to land or obviously, where they needed to go. So we have our signal flags. And that is our episode of Voices of the Great War for today. I'm Liz Watson, and until next time.